Welcome back to War Archive, your gateway to the untold stories of history's greatest battles and the mysterious folk tales that time almost forget. Like, share and subscribe and enter a world of war, mystery, and timeless. When the maps were still ink. Before the first rifle cracked the morning air, before the trenches scarred the fields, the war existed only as whispers, arguments in council halls, rumors carried by merchants, quiet hatreds passed from father to son. The maps were still ink, borders drawn by men who had never stood on the land they divided. In the eastern plains of Varkash, wheat bent peacefully under the wind, unaware it would soon be trampled into mud by marching boots. This was a war born not from a single spark, but from centuries of unresolved fire. And at its center stood one man who never wanted to be remembered. The empire that forgot its people. The Aurelian Empire called itself eternal. Its banners flew over mountains, deserts, and coastlines, stitched with gold thread and stained with old victories. But empires rot from the inside long before they collapse in public. Taxes rose. Grain stores emptied. Governors ruled with cruelty where law once lived. In the border province of Kestrel Reach, soldiers were no longer protectors, they were collectors. Families sold heirlooms to survive. Children learned to recognize uniforms not by color, but by how quickly they should hide. It was here that Ilyas Marr, a former surveyor for the imperial roads, returned home to find his village broken. His father dead of hunger. His mother silent with grief. The empire he once served had no memory of him, and no mercy for those it ruled. The first shot fired by no one. The war did not begin with a declaration. It began with a patrol that never returned. The empire claimed bandits were responsible. The locals whispered another name, the Ashen Compact, a loose alliance of farmers, deserters, smugglers, and scholars who believed the empire could bleed. Ilyas did not join out of ideology. He joined because he knew the roads, the bridges, the supply lines. He knew where the empire was strong, and where it was blind. The first ambush was quick. Too quick. Imperial wagons burned in the night, their flames reflecting off shocked faces that had never seen resistance succeed. Word spread faster than fire. The empire responded the only way it knew how. Iron answers to silent questions. Legions marched east. Villages were punished for crimes they did not commit. Public executions became warnings written in blood. Ilyas watched a boy no older than 12 hang from a gallows meant for rebels. That night, something in him hardened. He stopped seeing maps as lines and distances. He began seeing them as graves not yet dug. The Ashen Compact fractured under pressure. Some wanted open rebellion. Others wanted survival. Trust was thin, and betrayal became currency. That was when Commander Selene Kael arrived, an imperial officer with a reputation for ending wars quickly and without apology. The woman who studied defeat. Selene Kael did not underestimate rebels. She studied them. Their songs. Their supply routes. Their fear. She understood that rebellion was not defeated by force alone. It was defeated by making resistance feel pointless. Under her command, the empire adapted. Convoys changed routes. Informants were rewarded. Entire rebel cells vanished overnight. Ilyas and Selene never met, but they fought each other across valleys and seasons, each anticipating the other's next move. It became a war within the war, a contest of minds played out with lives. Alliances made in ash. Desperation breeds unity. The Ashen Compact reached out to old enemies. The northern clans of Thornwood, mountain fighters who despised the empire but trusted no one. The alliance ceremony was tense, held beneath a sky heavy with snow. Hands were shaken over old grudges. Oaths were sworn that everyone silently doubted. The clans brought warriors. The Compact brought intelligence. Together, they struck deeper than ever before, capturing a supply fortress thought impregnable. For the first time, the empire bled publicly. The night the bells stopped ringing. Victory was brief. A trusted courier sold secrets for a promise of land and safety. Selene Kael struck back with precision. In the city of Belhaven, bells rang as rebels celebrated, until the gates closed. Imperial troops flooded the streets. Fires spread. Screams replaced songs. Ilyas escaped through the sewers, dragging a wounded friend who died before dawn. When he emerged, the city was smoke and silence. The bells never rang again. That night, the war stopped being about freedom. It became about endurance. The cost of being alive. Months turned into years. Faces aged faster than calendars. Children grew up knowing only ration lines and air raid sirens. Ilyas became a symbol he never asked to be. Songs were written about him, exaggerating his courage, simplifying his doubts. He hated them. Legends did not feel hunger. Legends did not wake screaming. He began to question whether the war was saving anyone, or merely teaching the next generation how to fight. The meeting at Black Ridge. Fate is rarely dramatic. It is quiet, inconvenient, and irreversible. At Black Ridge Pass, during a failed negotiation, Ilyas and Selene Kael found themselves trapped by a landslide. Two enemies. One cave. No soldiers. No banners. They spoke. Not as symbols, but as people. Selene admitted the empire was cracking. Ilyas admitted he no longer recognized the peace he was fighting for. When the rocks were cleared, they walked out separately, changed, but bound by a truth neither could share. The final campaign. The empire launched its last offensive with everything it had left. The rebels responded in kind. Fields burned. Rivers carried bodies downstream. The decisive battle came at Dawnfall Plain. The sky was red with smoke. Orders were shouted into chaos. Ilyas led a charge he knew might kill him. Selene Kael fell that day, not by Ilyas's hand, but by the weight of the empire she served. Her last command was a retreat that saved thousands. The empire withdrew. Not defeated, but broken. What remains after victory? There were no parades. No clean endings. Borders shifted again, redrawn by new men with new promises. Ilyas disappeared from public life. Some say he returned to the roads, measuring distances for no one. Others say he buried the dead in places no map would ever mark. The Ashen Compact dissolved. The clans returned north. Peace arrived like a stranger, welcomed, but not trusted. And long after the banners fade and the guns fall silent, the war remains, echoing in the shadows, patient and unfinished.